Hi everyone, and welcome back to another tabletop gaming discussion with Elaine and Jeremy.
Hello.
Today we're going to be talking about the top 10 card games. Obviously, the best of the best, our favorite things to play. Let's start the video! You want to go first?
You can go first.
I can go first with my number 10.
Yeah.
Havoc and Hijinks.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Where you're a little baby dragon that got kicked out of mama's nest and now you gotta make your own treasure. And you gotta be a little bugger about it because there are other little baby dragons that, want to take your nice things. And that's rude.
All I think about when I think of that game is hat ?
Yeah. I have that poster in my room. Fun fact. The thing I like about this game is the theme is adorable. The art's really cute.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to learn, fast to play. Just don't take my nice things and everything will be fine.
I mean, it's basically a draw a card, play a card kind of game. I think it's a play a card, draw a card. You draw at the end of your turn, I believe, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it's fun. I like how they have like the abilities that you can use for the dragon, and then they go to sleep. You like flip it to the sleeping side,
The resting side,
yeah. And
yeah.
they each have their own abilities. They each have their own cards that they can play off of. So it's kind of like it's almost like a deck building kind of thing.
But some dragons are better than others.
Yeah,
we'll say that.
Yeah, there definitely is a little bit of a balance thing, but I think it's definitely fun. It's worthy of the top 10.
Why, thank you.
So I'm going to do my top 10.
Okay.
And we've talked about this game in other lists before.
Yeah.
And that is Okie Dokie.
So Okie Dokie is your number 10. That's a good one.
Okie
I
Dokie.
like that one.
Okie Dokie is my number 10. Okie Dokie, you are a panda, right? You're a panda.
Panda conductor
trying to run a orchestra full of animals, and you have to match the cards and make sure that they're going up in ascending order. You have to make sure that you're being strategic and when you're resetting the different colors, things like that, to make sure that you're not wasting those too early and then running into some problems. But it's fun.
It's a nice co-op game.
Yeah.
Where you have to mind meld and not say things you totally want to say and throw cards across the table at your partner or partners.
Exactly.
Yeah, fun times.
Do you want to give your number 9?
I do want to give my number 9. It's Joking Hazard.
Ooh.
By Cyanide and Happiness, which is basically just hey, make a cute cartoon. Make the card czar laugh. And things will happen that are good for you. It's just
it's definitely a fun game. I think it does have a little bit of an issue with where you can end up with cards that don't work together sometimes.
It's kind of like Cards Against Humanity, where some things just aren't funny.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you can go through your hand in Cards Against Humanity a little bit easier sometimes, because sometimes on Joking Hazard I find myself with a hand where it's these cards don't go together, they're not funny, they don't go with the punchline. And
the other thing too is that I feel like there are more cards that I don't remember which one it was because we haven't played for a bit, but one of the characters always talks more than the other. So you'll have all these cards where it's the blue person's talking and it's but the blue person was already talking, so I want one where the person with the green shirt's responding.
Yeah.
But you don't have any cards where the person with the green shirt's responding.
Yeah. So that can get a little annoying, but I definitely think it's worthy of the top 10. It's a good one.
It's a fun game.
Yeah,
that needs to be tweaked a little bit.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
I'm going to give my number 9.
Okay, you do that.
My number 9 is Exploding Kittens.
No kittens were harmed in the making of this game.
Yes.
Or the playing of this game.
That was one of the first real card games I got, really, or what you got, right?
Yeah, obviously, because I'm cute.
Yeah, but it was one of the first card games we played together on a regular basis, and that's a fun game. I think it's fun. It
needs, I think, more people to be entertaining. Playing with 2 people isn't as much fun. I like that it has a lot of the expansions. The art's cute. I think the fact that they tried to make it not safe for work was kind of amusing.
Yeah.
Because it's a drawn game.
But
very simple. I like that it's simple.
It's very simple, but
strangely addicting.
You're definitely right that it's better with more than 2 people.
Oh, yeah. I'm always
That definitely makes it more fun, more chaotic.
Come on now.
What is your number 8?
Ooh, I'm sharing it first. It's Uno, which is childhood nostalgia meets adult rules. Not this is a dirty game, but I mean, you need to change it up sometimes with the house rules to keep it entertaining.
Yeah, that's one of those games where you kind of have to play it with you have to play with the jump-ins and the stacking and things like that.
Well, you don't have to, but it's more fun.
I think Uno Flip is a better version of Uno than regular Uno.
I like regular Uno.
I like Uno Flip. That's fun. Because it can really mess you up. You have your thing going good, and then you turn it around, and you're like, I don't like this side.
Yeah, that happens.
That's a lot of fun. My number 8 is a very new game. As of this year, I think it came out this year. It was a Kickstarter game, and that is Dragon Vault.
I don't think it was Kickstarter.
It wasn't Kickstarter?
I don't know. I just bought it from a different website.
Oh, well, It was bought as a gift to me from her.
You're welcome.
But yes, I thought it was Kickstarter. But
anyway,
it is Dragon Vault, and The only complaint I have against Dragon Vault is the fact that it doesn't come with the dice that you need for the game.
Yeah, everything
That's
you should
irritating.
need to play a game should be included.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they wanted to just sell it as a card box, and I guess there's no real way to put dice in there unless it had like a false bottom part to it.
Speaking of the card box, that needed a better design. It's like the Star Realms box, and that just gets wrecked early on, girl.
It's fun. It's easy to play. It's easy to teach. It's a little bit pricey for a card game.
It is, for what it is.
Probably the most expensive card game that's just a card game in a card box that we've gotten.
Yeah, it's basically D&D in a box with really, really nice art. And they're coming out with some expansions, but it's very pricey for what it is. I bought it on sale, and even then I thought it was a little much.
Yeah, it is nice though. I like how on their website they feature a bunch of cosplayers dressing up as the characters.
I was very sad that the main cosplayer they feature wasn't the card. That was like that was probably the best cosplay I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was
full disclosure.
It was really nice. And but all the things you've said, artwork, the gameplay, easy to learn, easy to play. And I think it's pretty good. Yeah.
Table friendly.
What is your number 7?
Why am I sharing first all the time?
It's easier to keep track of.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, my number 7 is Once Upon a Time, which is the storytelling card game with expansions. They're expansions. I don't own them, but they exist and I could get them at some point. I think this game is fun just because it's a little different. It's not like, the pick a card, play a card thing that most card games are, if we're being completely honest. I think the issue with it is if you're not playing with someone who's creative or actually plays to the rules where you have to like really incorporate whatever card you're incorporating and they just kind of mention it in passing, it's definitely not as much fun. Like this is a game that's made by whoever you're playing with, and if you don't have those kinds of people in your little group, not so much fun.
You want people that are going to get along with the story and play with it and like really stick to it and kind of have fun with that, the creative element to it. Though, like when you have the right group, you end up with like characters that reoccur in different stories and you're playing different games.
Gotta have Philip the Frog, man.
Yeah, and you can kind of have those reoccurring themes and things like that. And you can come up with some fun stuff. There's enough variety in there where you can come up with some fun stuff.
As you try to drive the story to that ending.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's
stuff.
Fun. So, my number 7 is Sushi Go,
which has some freaking adorable artwork.
It does have. It has some really good artwork. It's a nice game to play with like all ages.
Yeah,
your entire family can play it. It's an easy game to explain.
Yeah.
They have some. I have the party pack, which has some advanced cards.
But they're not that complex.
Yeah, but like you can easily play a handful of games with like the beginner set. There's different sets in the rule book for the party pack that tell you if you're playing with this many people or you're playing with this level of people. You can easily play the starter cards pretty quickly in a couple of games, which aren't very long, to get the hang of it, and then play with some of the more advanced cards.
Definitely.
And those are it's fun.
It's budget friendly. It comes in a very nice tin.
Yeah.
Which I like. I like that there's also, I prefer the family version just because there's more and I like to have the variety. But, if you're not someone who always has time for card games or games in general, or maybe your budget's a little tighter, or you just don't have a lot of shelf space, there is a smaller, boiled down version of the same game, which is really nice to have that option.
Yeah, and it's a little tin too.
It's adorable.
Yeah. And I've seen it run as low as like $7 or $8 sometimes when it's on sale. So it's really easy to pick up and really, really cheap.
This is a good game.
Yes.
Buy it.
What is your number 6?
My number 6 is Kamigami Battles. There are a bunch of different versions. I have the River of Souls. I really like this one. I think it's called River of Souls. Anyway, I digress. I really like this one because the art is like phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like I love the colors. I like that the text is easy to read. The chain thing kind of took me a little bit to get.
I think it's kind of unique though.
But I like it.
Yeah.
And I like how they have like the different god cards, which can give you certain benefits. We should play this again. It's been a while.
Definitely. It's been a while since we played it. That's one of the problems with having so many games. Is it takes you a while to cycle back to some of them. I do like the chain mechanic because it's different from what you'd see in other things where it's like in like a Star Realms or something where you have the ally abilities. This one you actually you're not picking factions. You're picking ones that queue off of each other, which is interesting.
And I think the other thing that's nice too, well, I'm kind of a mixed bag about this, but like, you know how Dominion, you have like a certain set of cards that you play like that particular game with? This game's kind of like that in the sense that there are a lot of like repeat cards. So if you're playing with like new people it's nice to not have to sit there and have them like read everything over and over and be like, wait, which one do I really want? Like with Star Realms, where every card's basically different.
Yeah, I absolutely love Star Realms, and I might be talking about it soon. But like, it's not as new player friendly.
No, and that's basically my point. I think this one's a little friendlier, especially for people who just like have issues reading. Like your mother, for example, just does not like reading stuff when we're playing games. It's like her thing. So something like this, where it's kind of like a meet in the middle, where it's not like as extreme as like, hey, there are only basically 8 options, I think, for Dominion.
Yeah.
I think there are a few more for this one, so that slight extra variance is very nice. And I just think the theme is better because, you know, pretty girls and stuff, you know?
Well, my number 6 is pretty different from yours.
Is it really?
Yes, and that's 5-Minute Dungeon.
You didn't do the thing again. I'm sad.
What?
Well, last time, when that was on a list, it was 5-5, and now you ruined it.
No, it's 6-5.
Now it's 6-5.
Yeah.
You ruined it. I'm sad.
The 5-Minute Dungeon is a fun game. It's got a fun theme to it. The artwork is silly.
It is very silly.
That's something that's kind of fun about it. And it's something that's fast paced. It makes you work together with the people that you're playing with. It's definitely a lot better with 4 players.
Yeah.
4 or 5. Can you go up to 5? I can't remember.
I don't know. We've never had that many people around.
We play with 4 and we've played with 2, and it definitely is a lot better. It's not good with 2. It definitely is a lot better with 4.
But total disclosure, it's not good with 2.
Yeah, it's not the best 2-player game. But if you're looking at something you're gonna play with like 3 or 4 players, it's great. It's great.
The box shape is a little weird, kind of hard to fit onto your shelf.
Yeah,
and
it's kind of weird.
Very chaotic. Like, it's basically like, move the cards away. Oh my god, play that. Why did you play that? No, take this back. Do that. And it's just like, it's insanity for 5 minutes. And then if you lose, you're supposed to start over. And I don't like it. You are not a phonics, sir. You do not get a resurrection, sir, madam.
No, yeah. You're supposed to typically go back to the first boss when you lose, instead of just playing over the boss you just lost at, but we don't usually do that.
Because that's not fun.
It's a little bit too much, and this game can be tiring. It's fun, but definitely tiring.
Because you're all yelling at each other.
Exactly.
Like psychos.
Well, what is your kickoff to the top 5?
My kickoff to the top 5 is Shards of Infinity.
Ooh, that's good.
Which is a nice deck building game. I like that you get to a point after you get all the suns. I just call them suns. I know they're not actually called suns, but suns. You get to a point where you could just like blast through everybody, because sometimes with other deck builders we played, it's just like, oh, you recovered health, I recovered health, oh, we can't hit each other enough, and then we just like go in this endless loop of like an hour and a half just not being able to knock each other out.
Yeah.
Which I don't like. I feel like this game isn't also as like dependent on which faction you're going for as some others.
Yeah, I mean they have the ability where Unity or whatever. Well, the Unity ability is the one where you have multiple factions on there.
Yeah.
The blue faction tends to give you bonuses if you have multiple factions on the board.
I believe so.
Yeah.
And I think it changes a little sometimes if you add some of the expansions. And for me, I mean, I don't really have anything too bad to say about this one. It's just like the text is smaller than I think some of the other ones, so it could be a little hard to read.
Yeah, it definitely is. I like that there is a way that it rewards you if you have like one of those rainbow decks where you have a bunch of different factions, which in a lot of the other ones you kind of get punished for. And the only thing I'll say about this one that I don't really like is I'm not a big fan of the art.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
You stole it.
I'm
stole
not
it from
a fan
me.
well, there's only so many things you can say.
So rude.
I'm not the biggest fan of the art.
No, I'm not.
Like,
either.
it's that kind of like post-apocalyptic sci-fi, like dystopian theme almost.
It's
like,
got some pretty colors.
Fantasy.
But
yeah, I'm not really impressed by most of the art, and like I don't really like the card layout as much.
No.
As some other ones.
It's not terrible. Like,
it's
they're not
terrible,
disorganized.
You have to read everything in order to see what it's making you do, which is not like a lot of the other cards, like a lot of the other games, like Star Realms and stuff. You can kind of see what it's giving you based on where it is on the card. It's broken out a lot better, but it's a good game. I like it.
Yeah, good card quality.
My number 5 is something that we've had on lists before, and that is Unstable Unicorns.
Ooh, that's a huge one.
Yes, I really like Unstable Unicorns. Again, it's the draw a card, play a card kind of thing.
But we like that.
Draw a card, play a card, or draw another card.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah.
If you don't play a card.
If you don't play a card. So you can actually draw 2 cards.
Magic.
Yeah.
That's magic right there.
Yeah, the unicorn magic. I like how it has the upgrades and downgrades. That's kind of cool. It has good, interesting interactions that you can do where you can have upgrades and downgrades, combinations and stuff, which are kind of nifty.
Yeah, but it could be hecka trolly too.
Yeah.
Depending on the combinations. And, like, you get a little sad when your unicorns die or get stolen. That's why I get a little mad with you sometimes, because you're always murdering my unicorns.
Always murdering your unicorns.
So rude.
I think the expansions play really well into it.
Yeah.
They add a lot of interesting stuff.
We haven't tried them all yet, but I've had good experiences with the ones we played so far.
The ones we've tried. We played, like, the dragon one. We played the elvish theme one.
No, I think you got me the elvish one more recently, and we haven't played it. There was one with, like, a rainbow cat or something on the cover we've
played a couple of them, and
the
I've
not
liked them
safe
so
for
far.
work one.
I've liked them all so far.
Weird, because this is basically a little person game, kind of. But that's fine.
What is your number 4?
My number 4 is Star Realms, which is a
Wow.
game that we talk about very often. It's probably the deck building game and probably the card game we've played the most, with maybe the exception of, like, Shot and Totten.
Yeah,
We
I don't
play
think
this game all the
I don't
time.
think Shot and Totten's caught up to Star Realms yet, because we used to play with Star Realms like 15 times in a day.
And you'd win all of those times. 'cause
Yeah,
you're
you'd
a
win
bugger.
one every once in a while.
I won like 1 in 25
You've been
to 40
winning
games.
more often lately with that one.
But only with the scenarios expansion, because, you know, I'm a queen. So whatever.
Star Realms is a lot of fun, and I don't really want to talk about it too much, because we might talk about it again.
Spoilers! What's your number 4?
My number 4 is one of the OGs, if not the OG, deck building game, and that is Dominion.
So we did talk about this recently, yeah.
You brought up Dominion earlier, but you were saying that there's only 8 cards that you can play with, but there's only 8 cards per game that you can play with.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, there's a lot of
limited.
different types of cards that you can put in. But
sorry if that wasn't clear, folks.
You're only going to get a combination of, I think it's 8 cards, right?
I think it's 8 or 10.
Yeah, and
like
I
not
like
counting like the douchey and the estates.
the douchey and the estates, yes.
I gotta say the douchey, man.
I like that there's some unique effects in there. There's some effects that cue off of each other. There's nothing that's super obvious, like where it's obvious that this card goes with this other card, but you can see some that it's kind of nifty, where you could be like, the one that allows you to trash a card and then get a card that costs like 3 more or 1 more or something like that is a good way to get rid of the curse cards, and you kind of there's no way to really think about that ahead of time. It doesn't tell you anything like that, but
no.
So there's some good interactions you can play off of. You can get those really long chains that I like, where it's like you're drawing a million cards and playing a million actions. I love those.
I do like, from the standpoint of just playing with new people, like I said, that like because there's a set number of cards, you don't have to sit there and explain every little thing and like wait for them to read it. I think the art's very generic. Not a fan of the art.
It's definitely very generic.
I think it really needed the expansions that they introduced, because if you're just playing with a base set, I think it gets a little dry after a while.
Even in the base set though, there's a lot of variety and combinations that you can play with.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're playing this game regularly, it's like there's only so many card options in general that you could pick. So
do they have themed versions of Dominion out there? I feel like they have to.
I don't know if it's themed, but I know they do have expansions that do add new cards.
It definitely seems like something that could be like, this is a Naruto Dominion, or this is this show's Dominion, or this property's Dominion, or Star Wars Dominion, and you can have a bunch of cards that are themed towards it. It definitely seems like a game that would lend itself to that kind of play.
Yeah, and it's definitely something that could be trolly, just because of like curse cards and like, let me rob you, and
What is your number 3?
My number 3, it's joint just because they're so similar. I put Coup Rebellion, G54, and then just like Riley Gruller Coup. They're so similar. I figured
That's your number 3?
Yeah, I threw them on there.
My number 3 is Coup also.
So let's talk about them together now. So base Coup has, I think, 1 expansion at this point. You start with like a certain number of cards, and it's social deduction, and you're trying to murder each other at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, less social deduction, more trying to murder each other and win the game. And then the benefit of the G54 is that you pick, like, there are more cards to pick from, and you're only using a certain number of those rolls per game.
They're from different categories, and you can swap out the different categories.
Or you could just skew the game and make it all one category if you really want, I suppose. But I like that there's more variety with that one as opposed to, like, the original Coup. Actually, I don't know if G54 came out first, to be honest. I bought it second, so for us,
I think it's the second. It's the second version of it. The artwork is less generic than Coup is, And there's more mechanics to it. I would imagine it's the second version, but I'm not 100% certain, but I would imagine that it is.
A lot of similarities between some of the cards.
Coup and the second one, primarily the first one for me, is I've played that with probably the largest variety of types of players.
Yeah.
I've mixed so many different groups of friends with that game, where it's like your drinking buddies can play, your work friends can play, your kids can play.
You can get drunk as you play.
Yeah, they can all play. They can all play together. It's one of those games that I've pretty much never come across somebody that doesn't like it after playing it.
Yeah.
And it's simple. It's so easy to teach.
Yeah, and you're always the Duke.
And you're always the Duke. For the first 3 or 4 rounds, at least,
be the Duke.
You're the Duke.
You need that Duke money.
Because nobody ever calls you on being the Duke. It's not worth it.
Or maybe it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is. I think the issues I have with this game, or at least with the original Coup, is just like same rules. Like it gets a little drier faster than I feel like G54 does.
Yeah.
The other thing too,
a lot of it's based on the group that you're playing with. Like if you have fun people that you're playing with, it's less dry.
But also, you just need that bigger group. Like if you're playing with, I think like 4 or less, it's just not what it could be when there's 5 or more people.
Yeah, a group of 8 is nice with that game.
We've never really played with 8 people. We have a few times, but I mean, like in comparison to like when we play this game in general, like we have not played with that big group.
Not as many times. No, I've played it at a couple birthday parties though, where it was like 8 people.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
No one knew what was happening. Some people died. It was fine. Yeah. Whatever.
What is your number 2?
My number 2 is another joint one, again, because they're just so similar. I put Unstable Unicorns and Llamas Unleashed together.
Oh.
I mean, yes, there's some differences because you get, like, if you get the group of llamas or whatever, you get an ability with Llamas Unleashed or, some of the other animals, and you don't get that in Unstable Unicorns, but they're basically otherwise the same game. You get some nice art, and then you get mad at your friends if they murder your animals.
Yeah, I mean, I think I definitely like Unstable Unicorns better than Llamas Unleashed. Obviously, it was on my list. Llamas Unleashed wasn't on there.
Obviously,
but I do like the fact that the Llamas Unleashed had the basically kind of faction mechanics on it with the different types, which is interesting. What was it? Llamas, alpacas, and
there was something else. Maybe
goats.
I don't.
Was it? There was another.
We don't seem good right now.
There was definitely 3 of them.
Look what you've done. Look what you've done.
Yeah, that it definitely that's kind of interesting in that. But they're the same company. They're
awesome. I really like the Unstable Unicorns company.
Yeah,
I think it's actually just called Unstable Games.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I think Here to Slay, when we finally play that, I think it's gonna be better.
Okay, I'll accept that.
Same company, but I think that might be their best. We're gonna have to see.
All right.
So that was your number 2, right?
Yeah, that was my number 2.
My number 2 has already been talked about.
Wow.
And that is Star Realms.
How could you steal a game on my list? So rude.
And Star Realms is on my list because we've played it so much. I've played it with a lot of different people.
Oh, yeah.
It is not as new player friendly. It's one of those games where if you're a new player, you're probably going to lose because you don't know what the cards are.
Yeah.
And it's hard to learn all of the cards as you're playing, know which ones cue off of each other, because we've played it so many times when we play with new people, unless we're kind of kid gloving people, we kind of know what's coming. We know what's going to queue off. We know what the combinations are, the best cards. Like we know that the stealth needle's in there. We know that the mercenary cards are in there, or the mercenary cruiser. What's it called? Merc cruiser. We know that that's in there. We know that there's certain cards that you're going to want to grab, and they might not know that. So
probably won't.
Yeah, and there's definitely going to be tactics that as a veteran player. So it's not as new player friendly, but once you can get the other players up to speed, it's a game that scales well.
Yeah,
because you could just add cards to the deck to make it play with more people.
Yeah, and then they have that weird co-op thing you could do, which we're not as fond of. But I'm
not a big fan of that one.
If your friends are getting sad because you keep beating them at games, that's an option.
I like there's a lot of variety of the cards because we have 2 sets. We have the Colonial expansion, I think it's called, Colonial something. But we have that deck, and then we have the base deck, and then we have the separate 4-player deck, and they're all different cards. Yeah. There's a lot of cards that you can combine together to get different cards.
And then the Scenarios expansion if you just want to change it up. Usually it just speeds up the game if you're a little cramped for time.
And you have the one with the generals, where you can have generals for your thing that have abilities.
I don't even remember that one.
I have it.
Girl.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of use to it. It's probably our most beat up game. Usually our games are in mint condition most of the time, but they're really beat up because I'm bringing those decks around with me.
It's like Small World.
Yeah.
That box has seen some things.
Well, so that was my number 2. What's your number 1? That's a big
you're letting
one.
me share the number 1 today, Fred?
Yes.
It's Shot and Totten, guys. You should have seen that coming because we play it all the time.
Yes.
But only the first one. The second one, not so good. And I like this game because it's table friendly, it's fast, it's budget friendly, it's easy to teach, and it's just, you never know how it's gonna go. Like, you could think you're winning, you're like, I got the nice combos, and then all of a sudden the other person takes it, or you're waiting on that lineup where it's like you got the 6 and the 7, you're just waiting for the freaking 8, and then you play the 6 and 7 because you're like, I can't hold on to this anymore, and then the 8 comes.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's like, it's painful, where you get that card that you were waiting on right after you play the other ones. And I think Shot and Totten's the Let's Play that we have on our channel that's got the most views still.
It is.
Yeah. So
shameless plugging.
Yeah, shameless plugging. Always be plugging. ABP. That doesn't work as well. But so yeah, with Shot and Totten, it's one of those painful experiences that you can have. But there's also a decent amount of strategy to it. There's like things where you kind of get, especially when you're playing with the same person a lot. Yeah. We end up in a lot of those situations where it's like, well, we're going to throw a random 1 out over there. We usually have a stack of 2s, and we kind of have this unspoken agreement that we'll just race to get like all of the 1s on 1. It's like, as soon as somebody throws a 1 out there, we're going to throw a 1 opposite and see who gets all the 1s in a row. Like,
true story.
Yeah. But it's also, I like how it comes down to the order of the cards. Which, like, you play certain cards in the right slots towards the end, you can make yours win first because it's based on which piles can't win. But you can only do that with the cards that are on the board, not the cards that are in your hand. So I think there's some strategy towards the end game there. And that's good. So that was your number 1.
Yeah, it's a great game. Yeah.
You know what my number 1 is?
I do, because I can see your notes over there.
Well, I mean, listen, I tilted up so they're easy to see. But my number 1 is a primarily social deduction game, but it uses cards entirely.
So it counts.
It's a card game. And that is Ultimate Werewolf. I know you don't like Ultimate Werewolf, but I love Ultimate Werewolf.
That's why it's the top of your list.
It is a lot of fun, and I've played it with so many different people. I've played it with different moderators. I've played it with so many different players. I've played it with so many different roles. I've played the Artifacts expansion. I've played all of the basic card expansions. They just go so well together, especially if you have a moderator that knows how to balance the deck and can add all the custom cards in. Because you have like the multiple factions where it's going to be like, you have the Dracula, like the vampire cards, the Dracula that can try to make his wives to win. He can win on his own. You have the cultist who can win on his own, a cult leader who can win on his own. The blob can win on their own. Plus you have the werewolf faction. You have the villager faction. And all these can be mixed together, but really only if you have a moderator that can keep it all straight.
It's too many factions.
No, I think it's awesome. I mean, but you can, if you have a game that has primarily newer players, you just play with villagers and werewolves.
But that's boring.
Yeah, so that's you work them in, and you work the little the extra factions in one at a time.
This game is too much.
No, I absolutely love the game, and it'll always be one of my top games. I'm not big on social deduction. There's some I like more than others. I don't like this game. I think it lasts too long. It for me, it overstays its welcome. It's just, I don't find the roles very interesting. And it's so moderator dependent. Like, I feel like that's one of the biggest problems with this game. Like, if you have a lousy moderator who is disorganized, who doesn't add flair to the game, which I already find boring, it's just like interminable. Yeah, I will say it is moderator dependent. I guess I've had a run of decent moderators, but if you have one that can't keep the roles straight and has to keep asking people what their roles are, or forgets to call out the roles at night, but I mean, in the game, I think by default it has like the little pad where you can write down people's roles, which helps keep track.
I mean, you could do that in general, but even we've had some moderators like write things down, and they're like, "Oh yeah, there's this other guy. I forgot to call that, didn't I? Whoopsies!" And it's like, everyone go to sleep again. It's like, but I just woke up. I slept too long. I need my coffee now.
We can have a difference of opinion, but I absolutely love the game.
I know, it's fine. We'll always agree to disagree on this one. So yeah, that is our top 10 best and favorite card games. What did you think of our lists? Who was better? Who did it better? Who listed good? Who listed good? What are your favorite games from our list, and what are your favorite card games? Let us know down below in the comments. We always like to know what you guys think. And if you like what you saw here today, please smash that like button until it's blue. Subscribe, ring that bell so you'll know what's up, and we'll catch you all in the next one. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Hey! Hey, are you listening? Hey, this is Billy West. I knew you'd recognize my voice, but sometimes you can't, because you're watching King's Entertainment Reviews. Now, I would love it, being the professor, if you'd comment, like, and subscribe. You hear that? He knows what he's talking about, because he's a smart old bastard. Yeah. All right, now, get with it.